Hello, Internet. How are we doing tonight?
What's up to all my favorites? Buttercups, the yellows, the teas, under the trees.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, it's Tuesday night, Scuba and The Ry, and tonight we are joined by a friend of ours from down under, Mr. the Antipodean Heath, all the way out in Australia. What part of Australia you in again, my friend?
G'day, g'day. I am in Adelaide in South Australia. So if we go to the map here, that's hang on, about over here. There we go. So there's Adelaide there. Just under what it looks like Australia's junk. I was born down here, but I grew up in the Northern Territory up here. So Darwin's about here. Catherine, where I grew up in the Northern Territory, is about here. Yeah. So. It's a crazy place over here.
What convinced you to drive all the way down south?
What convinced me to drive? Well, as a kid, like my grandparents lived here in Adelaide or south
Oh,
of
okay.
Adelaide, a little coastal township. My parents grew up in South Australia, and Christmas time we'd come back for Christmas with the different families, and so we'd jump in the car and we'd go from Catherine to Alice Springs in one day, which is about 14 hours driving. And then we'd go from Alice Springs to Port Augusta, which is just here. That'd be another 14 hours in the car. And then we'd go from Port Augusta to Victor Harbour, which is down about here. And that would probably be half a day, getting through the city and, lunch at Glenelg, which is funny enough where I work now. And that would be sort of a half a day. So it'd take us literally 2.5 days in a car to drive down. When I got a bit older, my sister and I, when I had my license, I'd help driving, and we'd do it in 2 days, and that'd be sort of the equivalent of 16 hours each day in the car, which was a lot of fun, especially if you're a kid and you're playing I Spy. There's only so many things you can play I Spy with when you're driving through the flat outback. I Spy with my lights. Is it something? Is it dust? Yes, it's dust. Okay, can you find something else to
Yeah, I can imagine that would get kind of boring. I've done some long trips where it's that whole nothing out there, and it's like, but so yeah, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna hang out, talk some gaming and tabletop and all the things. Hello everybody in the chat, seeing all the names flying through: Shadow Mains, Mayflower, Shadster, Dip. How are you guys doing? There's a couple of shout outs to Heath as well.
I'm just in the chat now saying hello to everyone, because that's a cool thing with this. It's no longer are we in an age where it is us as the audience watching the TV, yelling at the screen, laughing at the screen, that sort of thing. Now it is interactive, and that is the beautiful thing about this digital age.
Yes.
I'm in Australia. You guys are in the continental, sort of the North Continent, the northern. Start again. You are in the North American continent, and we are chatting with people online that are in both areas and in other areas. There could be someone from Hawaii. There could be someone from Europe. It's 2 a.m. in London, but who's to say that a shift worker isn't up on their day off watching? I'm a night baker by trade, and quite often I would still sleep during the day, and I would get up at 10, 11 o'clock at night, and I would watch all the crazy telemarketing, TV ad, late night, no one wanted C-grade sort of movies, and I'd go back to bed at 4 in the morning. That was 4 years of my apprenticeship as a baker. So there you go. There's something that you may not have known about me. So, and that's helped with me being up late at night, much to my wife's grief.
Chagrin.
She doesn't like getting up too late. That's it. Lots of chagrin. I can be up till 1 in the morning interacting with people in Europe, people in America, people in Canada, people, all over the globe, and that interaction is a beautiful thing. I mean, we're looking at comments here. We are on YouTube. Looking at all. Nice to meet you, Heath. It's lovely to meet you. Thank you very much for watching. It's brilliant. I love it. I love it.
Yes, it's really great. I gotta say, it's probably one of the best things, one of the few positive things to come out of things like the pandemic is being able to get on a computer and pull up on a program like Zoom and just reach out and talk to people. Last time I mean, having having friends and associates and peers in the D&D community like yourself in Australia, like John, who's in London, chatting with people on the West Coast, chatting with people in Canada on a regular. I mean, it's amazingly so much fun.
But John, you mean Siddhartha?
Yeah.
Funny enough, he is a stone's throw from where my wife's family, who are English, they live, mum and dad live here in Australia, but they're from. John is literally a stone's throw from where they are, and I just found that was so funny. We were chatting online, and it was like he jogs past the pub that my wife's uncle goes to.
Wow.
It's such a small world.
It is. It's great.
Yeah.
Technology has made the world smaller. It would still, I mean, it's still from Adelaide as the crow flies. It's still 10,000 miles to Lake Geneva. So I did that in 2016. But digital age technology has made the world smaller.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So you went up for GaryCon a few years back. That's right. I think we were talking about that a while ago.
Before we jump into that, I'm just having a quick look at the chat set, and I did see Major Zip, so a novelist Zip, and I've got to do g'day Cobber, because I know she loves that. Cobber is a very old Aussie slang for good friend. It means very good friend, and I had to do that because I know Hillary's watching.
Yes.
So yes, GaryCon 2016, GaryCon 8 2016 had this harebrained idea of going over for GaryCon. My wife, and I love her dearly, said yes. She said, but we can't afford it. If you can find a way that you can get over there. So I looked at doing a Kickstarter. Now I do photography, and I looked at doing some sort of Kickstarter for like a photography book for my trip to the States. And I had it kind of all set up, and I was working on some tiers and pricing and all that sort of fun stuff. And there was a content creator in the US who, just before I wanted to go live with my Kickstarter, ripped a bunch of people off in the gaming community, and Kickstarter was a dirty thing. And I sat and I took stock of it, and I went, no one really knows me. I'm asking for a sum of money that's not, it's not a small amount of money. It's a reasonable chunk of change.
Yeah.
This is not going to work. And I went back to my then group of friends, the small group of friends, mainly GaryCon guys, and some other guys in Texas, Skirmisher Publishing, who I'd done a few live videos with. And I thought it was, again, a kick that this Aussie guy wanting to come and chat gaming with them. And I said, this is not going to work, and I know it's not going to work because this person has just gone and muddied the water. And so I went, all right, what do I do? And a friend of mine says, why don't you try GoFundMe? Because even if it doesn't reach what you need, it's cash that you can then use and find another way to supplement. So I did that, and I had a goal, and it was slowly getting towards that goal, and it was slow. And people were like, I've given what I can, I really can't. And I'm like, don't give if you can't. I really appreciate it. And I had these things that, like, I had a little thing called ask me to do anything within reason. So, I had to go and get a photo with something or do something. Someone here said to me, you've got to take a spoon with you, and you've got to find a spoon, you've got to take it with you to GaryCon, and you've got to get photos of the spoon. I went, okay, I can do that. So I went op shopping and antiquing, and I found an old-fashioned sugar spoon. Now I have since put it aside. I don't have it with me because I didn't think of this story. And it's an old-fashioned sugar spoon, so it's not a round-headed spoon. It's actually square, almost like your snow shovel.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. And
it's an old and the handle, I'm thankful, is not bone like they used to be. It's like a really old school plastic that looks like bone. And I took it with me, and I had it on the table. I played in a game run by Luke. It was a first ed game that Luke Gygax ran. Had it on the table, and a D20 that a friend of mine in Cornwall sent me. That was part of his thing. Is he sponsored me for some money. He sent me his original D20 and said, use it, get some people to use it, take a couple of photos, and I'm done. So I had his D20 sitting on there, and I did that, and that was fantastic, and that was a lot of fun. So I did this, and so the people were putting money towards, which is great, and then I had people saying, hey, what are you doing for accommodation? I said, well, I've got a room booked, but it's going to cost me this much. And they went, cancel it, come stay with us. We're not, don't worry about it. So I could knock that off the total, and that brought it down. And then people are saying, well, what outside the convention? What are you doing for accommodation? I said, well, I've looked at a couple of places in Lake Geneva, backpackers and a cheap hotel and this sort of thing. And they went, oh, maybe you can stay with some of us. I'm like, okay, cool, but I need to try, and I don't want to have to be sort of bags on the side of the road going, I've missed the night. I need to try and get your ducks in a row sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
Ernie Gygax reached out and said, come stay with me. So the week either side of the convention, I stayed with Ernie Gygax. And holy hell, was that awesome. Now, Ernie is a stand-up host. We chatted old TSR stuff. We sat and watched reruns of Johnny Carson. We watched a couple of old John Wayne films. I got him to sign a couple of books that I had. Chainmail, which was a precursor to D&D, that Gary Gygax and Jeff Perrin wrote. Ernie didn't have a copy. I had a spare. Boom, there you go, Ernie. Cheers. So, it was brilliant. It was brilliant, and and I say this with the most humblest of humbleness. I'm a kind of a nobody on the D&D scene. Like, I started my page, the Antipodean D20, 6 years ago just for a laugh, a bit of fun. In fact, the name itself was a bit of fun because I'd just been talking about this word, the Antipodes, with someone, because the Antipodes is literally the polar opposite of the known world. Back in the day when Europe was the known world, the Antipodes was Australia, New Zealand, Southeast Asia, because it was the antipodal position of the world. And so the Antipodes, that word, just as a kid, really resonated. I just love to say, you will find in life words in any language that just resonate with you, and the Antipodes did for me. And the D20 is great, sort of, this one of the skirmisher guys did this logo for me. The D20 to me, like the old school D10s and D6s and D4s are great, but the D20 is just like when you roll it across a table, it's got that roll. It's not like a D100, which, the Zochihedron, you've got to have sand in the bottom to slow it down, otherwise it'd roll off like a golf ball. But the D20 just rolling across a table is just a cool thing. So D20s and Antipodes. And then the final piece that brought the two of them together is there is a phonetic homage in there. Antipodean D20. So D&D is at the heart of things, and there it is as a little hidden phonetic homage right in the center of it, the Antipodean D20. The Antipodean D20. So, that was
that's a really cool way.
Yeah,
to
that
come
is.
up with the name.
So yeah, but Gary Con was crazy. Made so many good friends. I'm still friends with him. I've got again, I say this. When I'm the most introverted extrovert you'll ever meet. I'm also the most extroverted introvert you'll ever meet. I love talking about things and encouraging participation and stories. Yeah, I know. It works. I'm sitting here panicking internally. Like there is a disco party of LSD-laced squirrels in my head that wants to be on camera as quick as possible. And I use that to go on camera because I know other people struggle to be on camera. And it's one of the reasons why I started doing videos about 3 years ago. I did it because I look at it like, if I can push myself to do something, hopefully someone will take a small nugget of my craziness and go, if he can do it, I can do it. And so, doing all of this, doing video, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And all of these friends in GaryCon, to the point where, and I say this is coming back full circle in the most humblest of humble brags, Luke Gygax keeps inviting me back to GaryCon each year, and I have not been able to get there. And he's just told me 2022, you have to be there. We'll make it. You have to be there. And like in this age, sometimes full-time work, kids or kid, family, all that sort of thing. You can't promise things. To be even asked to come back is brilliant, and I love that. So it's great to see such a community just brought together by everyone's stories, everyone's experiences, and just everyone coming, going forward together is a wonderful thing.
Totally. Yeah, I remember we talked a little while ago when we did a community session for Realmsmith and some of that, and I'm definitely thinking we should definitely make sure we try to meet up when it comes to GaryCon 2022, since we know this year it's going to be virtual. Next year, I'm sure it's going to be just completely nuts, because it'll be like, I ain't seen you in so many years, and just everybody's going to be all in there.
A return to glory.
I'm gonna have people tell me off for not coming back earlier. It just, the timing, unfortunately. GaryCon tends to be around my wife's birthday, my birthday, my son's birthday, and it also happens to sometimes coincide around Easter, which makes it. And Easter is one of our busy times at work, other than Christmas. So sometimes it's just. Sometimes it works. 2016 it did. The last couple of years, for whatever reason, it just hasn't worked. Last year it didn't work because no one wanted to go there.
Well, not that no one wanted to go. It's just, something like a pandemic was in play, and it kind of prevented everybody from getting together.
Everyone wanted to be there. No one wanted to be there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's really cool.
For someone who lives in Australia, when literally, it's 10,000 miles away, virtual is great. Love it. This is cool. Here I am hanging out with you guys. I'm literally a world away. I could be the dark side of the moon for all you know. That's why the background's all dark.
Yeah.
And it's an inter-pocket dimension. You're secretly in the yawning portal in Faerun, communicating with us.
I've been told by many people that Australia doesn't exist. The world is flat, and I'm just some Russian actor putting on a good Australian accent that lives somewhere else. So
speaking of Australian accents, what do you think of Christina's accent for Gaziel on Tides of Wildmount?
I probably couldn't keep up a consistent American accent when I was gaming, if I was gaming on live stream. So I think what Christina does is brilliant. I've said she can be an honorary Aussie. She is quite welcome to that. I like it. She uses a technique that I do. When you try and put on an accent, I try to put on an accent for different things. In fact, driving to and from work is 40 minutes one way. So you're always sort of watching and thinking, and I might have a YouTube video, the audio streaming, so I can listen to it while I'm driving. There's a lot of thinking and practicing time. When I was, and you'd know this, Scoop, when I was on for was it when we accidentally summoned the thing? I was practicing the accent for my character. Right off the bat, I dropped the ball. So I could not do it. I was ready, and you said, and Heath, and I went, quite well with it. The technique I remember her saying the technique she did is, she says adventure, and then that pops her into the mindset. If you're a Jimmy Carr fan, a English comedian, he drops into an Irish accent using ginger and community. So that's how he tricks his brain into an Irish accent. So if you can find a way to trigger that accent, then you're halfway there.
Yeah, I'm trying to explore that more myself with more of the characters, but I'll get there eventually.
Yeah, accents are hard to pull. I used to be good at them, but I just kind of fade away.
There's a brilliant YouTube. There is a brilliant resource there for accents.
YouTube's a brilliant place for all kinds of resources.
Oh yes, that's how I learned Photoshop.
You can find yourself down a rabbit hole with YouTube very, very easily. One night I found myself watching Vanity Fair videos where the celebrities from different countries were explaining their different slang, and Gerard Butler from 300, from Rock and Roller. I have my new favourite Scottish slang, and it's when someone's all mouth no trousers means that they talk but they don't follow up with action. So I'd love to hear Joel do that with some internal dialogue as Plunk with Noura's character Sarah.
Oh yeah, that would be wild. That would be so wild.
But I'm just looking at the comments here.
Yeah.
And Zip is saying that accents can be so hard, and if you do it badly, it can be super offensive. The biggest thing for me when I'm doing any live streaming or I'm doing just a video from the kitchen at work or anything like that, if people can see your intent is good and your context is good and you're doing it as sort of you're doing it for the right reasons, your intent is good, then if you don't do it well, it can still be okay, and not to give up.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one thing when you're trying to do it because you're trying to like do it justice. It's another when you're just, doing it because you think it'll be a laugh.
Oh yeah, it's all about the context. If you are aware of what you're trying to do, and know that you're not trying to get no false intent, people will let it go, or you can spin it and be in a unique accent for your own self. So.
Yeah. Speaking of Ziff and questions, she's a little more Aussie slang she's asking for. I don't know what to. We try to be family friendly, so is there a couple of good family friendly slangs?
Family friendly slang, okay. Not that one.
Not that one.
No.
You got to run through that list. It's like nope.
A lot of our slang has a mixed cultural background. Most of it will be English based or English originated. In England, they've got the Cockneys and a lot of Cockney rhyming slang, like apple and pears are stairs, frog and toad is road. And that sort of thing is filtered through to Australia, and then we have kind of continued and evolved it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So some of it can be quite old and not used as much. Some of it's still around. The biggest thing with Australian slang is someone can call you an offensive word, but it can be done in a loving and brotherly or sisterly kind of way, so that context is there. And I've got friends who are immigrants or first-generation Aussies that said that was the biggest cultural shock. There's someone calling me a bad word, but he's laughing with me, not at me. I don't get what. And as long as you're laughing with you, everything's good, mate.
Yeah.
So kids, the slang for children in Australia, and it's an older slang, is billy lids or just lids, because billy lids rhymes with kids, means children. Sorry? Tin lids as well. Billy lids, tin lids. It's a Cockney rhyming slang. Barf Vital Brain says here, grew up watching Neighbours, so is well versed with the lingo. If you've watched Neighbours, yeah, sure. There was another show on still going. It's called Home and Away, and there's a character on there, Alf. Now Alf is as ochre Aussie as they get, and I've had some of the Realmsmith guys on my streams before. I had Joel and Dave, and I think Jason crashed.
I remember that one.
The last one I had Brandon on, that's right, and I hit them with a couple of slangs, but the favourite one of mine from Alf from Home and Away is flaming galah, and it basically means an idiot, like flaming galah. So it's not an advocation to set wildlife on fire. It's that's what it is, a flaming galah. So,
although to be fair, most D&D parties do tend to send something on fire, so it might not be too far of a stretch to use that same thing to them in certain situations.
We need to tally how many times has Adam cast bonfire.
I actually was doing a thing the other night where it's like, I got to have Realmsmith bingo, and one of the things is Plunk's got to sing a song, Adam's got to set something on fire, and they've got to do something completely where it just breaks Jason.
Or Jason says for the sake of brevity.
For the sake of brevity.
Yeah.
Yes, for the sake of brevity.
Adam leans into the camera and does the eye thing. That's going to be on the list.
You'd be amazed how many people actually, how many comments I've heard where it's like, it's more enjoyable to watch Adam on Zoom than it is at the table, only because you can actually see his face all the time for when he does all of those weird looks back and forth and kind of does the... all of his little facial expressions. But yeah,
But Aussie Slang. So yeah. What else? I mean, I'm trying to think of family-friendly ones now.
It's a hard list to pare down.
I mean, you know, it's like the thing is trying.
Well, the thing is, it's not that all Aussie slang is not family friendly. The context is family friendly. The delivery perhaps isn't.
That's a fair point.
That is true with a lot of slang in America too.
Yeah, so that's where you do get sort of that little bit of sort of you know, the fuzzy grey area of where do we go from here. So Hillary's just said snow closing his eyes. That's in fact, as someone like these glasses, I had a when my wife and I were in Scotland and I needed to go for an optometrist appointment. I had not these particular ones because it was a few years ago now. But the Scottish optometrist said to me, if your eyes get any worse, you're going to have to go live with a family of bats. So as someone who relies on glasses, quite short-sighted, to see Brandon embrace a role where the character is blind, but he just doesn't sit there and go, oh yeah, my guy's blind, he does this, or oh, my guy's blind, but he has these goggles of seeing, so that counts as that. He's playing the character true, so much so that when he delivers and he closes his eyes to do it. Now, you can't keep your eyes closed the entire time because you need to interact with the rest of the party, and that does kind of give that little, you know, two sides of the coin. But him just simply closing his eyes to become Snow when Snow does something, I love it. I absolutely love that. And Ry, you're a movie fan. If you've watched the extras for A Knight's Tale with the late great Heath Ledger, they were doing there was some behind the scenes about where he comes back and finds out his father's gone blind. Okay. And he comes up to the little girl to ask where old man Thatcher is. Oh yeah, he's over there, and he just sits in the window staring out. And it's like, why does he do that? Or you know, something like, and she goes, because he's blind, sir. And they had it that they had it so that when they were auditioning all the kids for that role, this little girl was like, because he's blind. So, but every other kid did it, boy or girl, was like, oh, he's blind, and delivered it like it was a nothing thing. But this little girl really, you know, almost like she was pretending it was her father, uncle, grandfather. Oh, he's blind, and you know, that little extra there, and Brandon absolutely brings the whole Ralphsmith team brings to the table 110%. But to see that, you know, for someone who, yeah, I'm not blind, but without these glasses, no, I'm in a lot of trouble. It's great to see that.
Yeah, I thought it was very refreshing seeing Brandon bring forth the character, and I love how he uses that to kind of get into character. He closes his eyes, leans his head forward, and then it's really easy for him to bring the character out.
Yeah. While I'm thinking of some other slang that's family friendly, what's some good American slang that I might not have heard?
That's probably a really good one. I can't think of anything right now because I've spent so much time around John. I'm starting and so much time listening to the terrain tutor. It's like I'm hearing all some of the British slang.
If you want good British slang, just watch a lot of stuff with Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry.
Oh yeah,
they are brilliant,
hands down.
They are just brilliant. True story. Hugh Laurie, when he went to audition for House, the panel selecting knew that he was British. And they just went, no, we need an American guy to do this, you know, grouchy, grumpy, well-versed, well-rounded knowledge American doctor. We can't have a Brit doing it. It's just not going to. But you need to see, you know, no. So his agent answered the call again, but used a fake name for him and said, look, he can't make it in, do it over the phone. oh, okay, cool. And I think it was over the phone or something, and did this audition over the phone. I went, this perfect, we've found house, and boom, it's Hugh Laurie.
Yeah, that's pretty wild, actually, because it kind of reminds me of like when Mike Myers was doing Shrek initially. He had originally done the voice in one way, but he was rethinking the role and called up and did it again over the phone with the Scottish type of accent, and then that's how we get the Shrek that we all know and love now.
Yeah, and Valley. No, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's Austin.
That's all Mike Myers.
Yep, another famous role of his.
If it was me, don't forget Big Dad.
So yeah, it's just getting a word from from the mods. There seems to be a bit of a delay from what I say and the way my camera is going, and that is probably because of the app I'm using for the camera I'm using on the stream. So,
okay.
Still working on trying to figure that out, but you know, we'll get there eventually.
So if I started going, oh, that's very good, yeah, ha ha ha, it would throw everyone.
Maybe. I don't know. I've been watching a lot of kaiju films the last few days, so it might just put me in the mood to go watch like Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla.
You know,
I grew up on a show out of I can't remember exactly where it came out of, but I grew up in the territory and there was a lot of Asian influence, and our local ABC, so Australian Broadcasting Company, had, everyone used to call it Monkey Magic, but it was called Magic Monkey. And I have no idea how that happened, but a lot of that was and a lot of fun. There was a lot of fun with watching dubbed movies. It was, you know, a lot of the Jackie Chan Meals on, not Meals on Wheels, Wheels on Meals, and Police Story 1, 2, 3. Watching Master of Crack Knuckles, that sort of thing. Was a lot of fun, and that dub was just, for a kid growing up, was a very intriguing thing, why the voice and the mouth movement didn't marry up. And to find out later, it was because the original film was in a different language and they had to dub it in English so that it could be, you know, broadcast in Australia. And so it became a fascinating thing to self-dub. So, you know, we'd be watching something, and I would constantly crack my mother up doing it. I'd go, "You have betrayed my family. You must die now. Ha ha ha. My parents will die." You know, that sort of, because as a kid you just wanted to be an actor, and this was an area that opened up for you in the sense that it showed that, you know, you could have a bit of fun with it. I'm goofy. I was goofy as a kid. I used to do accents for my mother. You know, Forrest Gump, and I love Forrest Gump, and I mean no ill will to anyone from that southern area with the drawl, but I love that accent and I can do that accent. I won't on here because I've built this up too much, but I do that for my mother, and she would crack up laughing, and she always used to say, "You should have gone into theatre." And coming back to being an introverted extrovert, I would freeze on stage. It was up until a point in grade 10 when I did drama that my brain just went to do it, and I did it, and I was able to do it, and at the end of it I was panicking, you know, sweating sort of thing, but I just did it sort of thing. And yeah,
I did. I was a theater kid in high school too. I got first sucked into it in 10th grade during a presentation of The Wiz, and I was working soundboard and whatnot, and then getting more involved in it. And I always stayed in the background. I always stayed doing the stage work and behind the scenes stuff. But in order to get into the Thespian Society, I had to act. So I understudied for a role, and then one day we were doing the production, and it was like, oh, all the main actors and the understudies switch. And it was like, okay, that's fun. And then, but I was always kind of, it's like, I love theater and I love doing that, but I was always just kind of nervous about being on stage and going into some of that panic when you're on stage, and it's like trying to just muscle through it. And, but yeah, I totally get that. And to that same point, that's why I'm so glad I'm having the opportunity to do more of this content creation where I can actually be on camera, push myself beyond my limits. Because I'm normally the quiet guy in the back who doesn't speak very often. But,
Yeah. Like you're saying about soundboard, Nat. I was the stage manager because my logical brain, the sort of the stage blocks, I was able to build a set that between changes we only had to change a few things. It was very modular, and I did that myself. And the drama teacher went, "Have you done any design before? Say, set design?" I went, "No, it just seemed like the logical thing to do." And she goes, "Cool, you're our stage manager." And there was one part where they needed a character and no one wanted or couldn't or whatever. And I said to her, "Oh yeah, I'll do it if it's just either a no speaking or just a short speaking part." And to her credit, she said, "Yeah, no, it's just a couple of lines." I'm like, "Cool." No, it turned out to be this play was like futuristic set where robots are part of the thing. Think iRobot. Think the Will Smith iRobot, and I was the salesman that was selling a robot to the family, and I had like 11 lines of dialogue, and
just a couple of lines, you say?
A few, just a little bit.
Now, my mother's favorite film at the time was Father the Bride. Martin Short is a master genius actor, and without even meaning to, I become Frank and did my lines, and the drama teacher went, "That was brilliant. Do that again next time."
Next time? Next time?
Yeah, exactly right. So,
Yeah, I'd stage man it. The last play we did, one of the last plays we did for my senior year, we did Anything Goes, and I stage managed that for a little bit, and we had this huge, massive, 2-story ship that we mounted to the center of the stage so it could just rotate 360 when we went from one set to the other set, and just all kinds of crazy trying to run a stage in the back, but it was a lot of fun.
Just quickly answering a couple of messages in the chat.
Oh yeah, you're good.
That jump from back of house to front of house using hospitality terminology for that sort of thing. Yeah, you'd be like, "Oh, okay, I can do that. I can do this. I can do that. I can do this." Get in, you do it. Get off stage, and then that's when you have the heart attack.
Yeah, totally. So what kind of thing? So you do a podcast as well. What kind of things do you do? What kind of things do you do on your podcast?
Okay, so podcast is a very broad term for what I do. That basically this whole thing is to keep me sane, or to at least slow my descent into absolute madness, just a little.
I can neither confirm or deny. I share that sentiment.
So the Antipodean D20 was something I put together for a bit of fun. It'll be 7 years ago this May, and then videos started with. I think I did a just I don't know what made me do it. I think it was like a New Year's video, 2015 or 2016 or something like that. It must have been 2015 because I think it was just before I went to GaryCon, so it must be 2015. I did like a 1 a.m. in the morning from Tassie, hey, Happy New Year, short video sort of thing, and left it at that. And I got a bit of interaction, like cool. So, and then there was a couple other little things here and there that I did. And then when I was at GaryCon, I did a couple of videos live, and then it started to move and evolve a little bit. And now what I do is I've been doing videos from the kitchen at work as a focus. I get in early. I get everything set up for the shop, and then I either panic for 60 seconds trying to think of a topic for the live, or I might have one already. And then, I've got everything ready. And before I open the store, I'll have between 5 and 15 minutes where I'll do a live from the kitchen. And I just basically, here's my thoughts. Here's a 60-second idea. It's just this gorging of gaming idea X for anyone to use. And it kind of puts me in a good mood, ready to then open the store and begin a retail shift of anything between 6 to 10 hours. And it just sort of gets me going. And I did that a bit more, and then like someone said to me, you need to do some extended stuff. So I started doing a little bit of mapping, and that was at midnight. But then it started to get a bit hard because I'm in a 2-bedroom flat with my wife and my son. My son would wake up, and wander out, and I couldn't then continue because he might want me, and I can't then just stop the video. It's sort of a bit of, people understand, but you can't keep doing that. So then I said to my wife, all right, what would you say about if I could start doing some live videos during the day where I could set up the green screen, green screen here, voila, and do some actuals? And she said, well, you need to sort of, if you're going to do it live, not just off the cuff at kitchen, you need to have some content. So all right, what do I do? And that would have been about this time last year, and I was throwing the idea around, and I happened to catch Realm Smith at Gary Con for the prologue, episode 0 of Tides of Wildmount. And I watched that, and I went, these guys are brilliant. This is brilliant. This is great. And Matt Mercer, Matt Lillard, Jason was ran a great 3-hour ep. And everyone in there, Nora, no, actually, I don't think Nora was in that first one. I can't remember.
Yeah, she played. She was Diarkle. She was Diarkle on that first one because she ended up carrying through for the whole season.
That's right. That's right. Yes, because that's right. Because Christina wasn't in the first one. Dave, Joel, and Brandon were. But anyway, I watched this and I went, "This is brilliant." And I literally tapped out a message to, and B. Dave Walters. That was the catalyst. B. Dave as Jakari.
I think so. I'm gonna have to go back and double check now.
This very Spanish sounding sort of, yes, and I'm like, I'm a sucker for the Spanish. I think they're very cool people. Antonio Banderas, that sort of thing. I love, the whole thought of Toledo Spanish steel swashbuckler kind of thing. Javier Bardem in Dead Man Tell No Tales was brilliant. So I reached out to B. Dave and just sent him a message going, hey, watched you on Tides of Wildmount. You're awesome. I'd love to have you on my podcast sometime. Enter. And I went,
did I just do that? Did I just do that?
I don't have a podcast. Crap.
Oh yeah. I know that feeling. I did that. That feeling is such a great feeling. It's like you're hemming and hawing, and all of a sudden it's like, I'm just gonna type out this message. For me, I did it to, I think I did it was one of the ones I did when I did it to like Jen Krishner, because I was really fascinated. I really would like to have her come on and talk about some of the things she's been working on. But it was that hemming and hawing, and finally when you type out the message and hit enter, and then all of a sudden it's that, did I just do this?
Yes.
What did I get myself into?
Lots of fun.
Fast forward 2 weeks, no answer, and I kind of forget about it. So, when you send a message through Facebook, if you don't see the message request, you miss it. Sometimes I do that as well. So I went, I forgot about it. I didn't even go, oh, well, don't worry. I completely forgot about it. Fast forward 4 weeks. So now we're in sort of April, May, somewhere around there. And I get this message back from B. Dave. Oh, I'm so sorry, man. I missed this. Yes, I absolutely love to. Let me know when and I'll be there. Where's the paper bags? Luckily,
breathe, my friend. Breathe.
Working at a liquor store, I pulled the empty wine bottle out and I used that. So then I went, okay, so I messaged back like, oh, cool, look, it must have been April. Look, Easter at the moment and a few things, quite busy. I'll get back to you soon. Thanks for responding. You do some great work. Tides was brilliant, blah, blah, blah. And then I went, what do I do? And I set a time and a date, and he said yes. And I'm like, okay, this is cool, this is going to be cool. And I told a friend about it, and they went, cool, who have you got on B Day? Okay, oh yeah, I think I've heard of him. And this is a gamer mate here, but hasn't sort of hadn't watched a lot of American stuff. Another mate said, oh, that's going to be awesome. So I went, all right, so maybe I should have a second person on there that can be some banter between everyone. And I'm like, who else? And I suddenly went, oh, I could ask Luke. I know Luke. Luke knows me. It's a friendly face. I've seen some B-Dave stuff. He doesn't know me. I don't want there to be static or stale air. I want there to be some rapport and some meandering. So I went, all right. So I asked Luke, and he went, yeah, not a problem. I messaged Dave and said, hey, Luke's just come back to me and said that, hey, he'd love to be on too, if that's okay with you. And he said, yeah, Luke's the man, love him. Sort of had the two of them on. We were meant to go for 45 minutes. We stopped an hour and 40 minutes later, and it was just fantastic. And I called it Roll for Initiative, because literally it was not going to be Barbara Walters 2020 hard copy sort of stuff. It was basically three guys sitting around with a coffee or a tea or something, talking about the gaming industry, this hobby that we love, and rolling dice. And it was brilliant, and I loved it. And so I went, cool. I also, one of my other loves in the gaming world is a game book called Lone Wolf by the late, great Joe Deaver. And I got permission from his estate. His son runs the sort of his IP and estate and sort of bringing it to the forefront again. And I basically reached out and went, hey, love the work. Can I do an authorized read through? And they went, just do one and we'll see how it is. Did one, they loved it. And, I'm up to reading book 6 through now. And I do that every so often. And this is starting to evolve. The only thing that sort of stops me in that next step is my day job. I'm the manager of the store, and I have a huge amount of responsibility that if someone can't work a shift, it falls to me to do. And that's why if anyone now watching, and I love you all to bits, if you've ever watched my stuff, it can be sometimes a little chaotic in its scheduling. It's basically I'm at the mercy of work and home life. My wife loves it a bit. She's very embracing of my nerdness. She is in no way a nerd, and she understands my passion. She's looking at me right now. Send out. But she understands it's a passion of mine. But she also knows that I'm at the mercy of chaos, in the sense of if something goes wrong and I've put up a thing about a stream, I don't want to cancel. You want to know that you're putting up a stream and you can follow through on it. You want to know that you can do that. And as the manager of a retail store, it came close to me putting a post up about a stream. I didn't. And someone called in sick, and I had to do a 13-hour shift. So I'm very cautious with my scheduling for the Antipodean D20, and that's why these little, bite-sized, quick videos from the kitchen at work. It gets out content, it gets out creativity, it gets out a bit of feedback with the audience. I always make sure whenever someone's on and my brain is screaming at me for not looking at your comments enough here and saying hello to everyone, like hello Ziff, hello Secura, hello Shad, hello, who else have we got here? Bath Battle Brain, I love that name, Bath Battle Brain, that's just brilliant. Who we got else in here? We've got Scott Keller, hello, I should be saying g'day, not hello, g'day Scott, g'day Shad. G'day,
you don't need,
Ziff.
I mean, you don't need to play into that too much. I mean, come on.
GaryCon 8 2016, I think I've never said g'day so often. Like here in Australia, we do it occasionally.
Yeah.
When I was 2 weeks in the States, I think every third word out of my mouth was g'day. So yeah, it's and reading that those comments as you're live, I love doing that as well. This is what my podcast is. It's like a chaotic, cobbling conglomerate of gaming advice, tips, Q&As, roundtable chats, some gaming. 2020, I was so lucky to be invited to some really cool live to air gaming. I think I traded on the token Aussie thing so hard. I got to be in a game with Jen Kretschmer, is that who you said before? I got to be in a game with her that was run, I think it was run by Ginny Loveday. I'm pretty sure, my brain's fading now, but like being in a game run by Chris Lindsay, for a Game Hole Con, for Founders and Legends, for Gary Con's Autumn Revel, being in these games live to air with some of these great names was brilliant. Like I think I traded really hard on the token Aussie thing, but it was very lucky that the timing worked as well.
Yes.
There was one game that I was meant to be in that was going to be run by Jim Ward, the Jim Ward, and I couldn't because the timing didn't work. Now my wife had something on, and she said, "Oh, look, I can." I mean, no. This is done so it doesn't disrupt family life. You do this. I'll sit this one out. I can watch when I come back, and that's the balance I try to insist on as well. But to be in these, like, being a game run by Luke, I said to Luke jokingly, "Look, hey, whatever game you want me in, even if it's 3 a.m, I'll sit on my phone out in the car." And he come back to me and goes, "I've got a game. There's only one game. There's a spare spot. It's the first game of the day." I'm like, "Okay, cool. I can do that." He goes, "I've double checked the time and I've got someone else to check it. And I just want you to check it. This is the I think it's like 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. Pacific. Can you check your local time?"
Oh God.
It worked out at 1:30 a.m. Sunday morning. Now, I took this to my lovely wife, who's standing just over there and knows the story well and rolling her eyes so hard that I can hear it. And I said, "Hey," and she said, "Is it something you want to do? Does this help you for this as the Antipodean D20? I went, "Yes," and at the same time, it also lets me play in a cool game run by Luke. She said, "Well, we'll sort it out. You set it up. You make sure you set an alarm to wake yourself up to do that." Long story short, I slept through the alarm. I was 20 minutes late to the game. I still made it in time. We played for 4 hours. I think the last hour was off camera, and it was brilliant. And I loved every second of it. And to be able to do that a couple more times in Gary Con's Autumn Revel, Gamehole Con. Luke wants me to do something this year for Gary Con. I'm going to ask him if I can play in another live to air stream as long as it works. We've got that weekend I've booked off from work. We've got a couple of family things on as well, so that balance has come back in. That's a very important thing for me, is life balance. So I could be playing on live, I could be running something. I've got to iron out the details, but to be able to do fun things like that is brilliant as well. And to see that the Realmsmith guys do something similar with their interaction, that's brilliant as well. This topic has meandered so much that I haven't even been able to catch up, keep up with my own story. But
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah,
That's
keep
the
going.
beauty of this, is we're just kind of having a conversation and seeing how it goes.
That's literally this. Like, you guys have got a similar format to what I do for Roll for Initiative. It's just basically letting the topic meander. I'll do a couple of things with like a slang thing. I'll have a couple of questions. Occasionally I'll throw a couple of games in there, especially if the people know each other. What kind I could say to you, Scuba, and to you, Ry, like, what kind of character would you write for each other for a game of your choice, of a system of your choice? What would Ry, what character would you see Scuba as? Is he a swashbuckling pirate? Is he the hacker in Cyberpunk? Is he Bubba John from some sort of cyberpunk post-apocalyptic what's the Wastelanders called?
Borderlands?
No. Mind blank. Cyberpunk, the tribes.
The nomads.
Nomads, that's it. No. And the same thing, Scoob, Ry, like, is Ry your hacker in Cyberpunk? Is he with that little chiseled beard? Is he the French inspector in a Call of Cthulhu game, hunting down the same perpetrator that you're looking for, but for very different reasons? Is he the space captain that this is his last run to pay off his ship, and the guys are on his back, almost like the dumping of the spice by Han sort of thing, and he's just got to pay the Jabba type character off, so the ship is his, and he's no longer under the thumb of that gangster, and then he can start doing his own jobs. That's the sort of question I love to throw out as well in Roll for Initiative, because it's wonderful to sort of, like a spinning top, pull that zip and see what happens, sort of thing. So a meandering show is always good.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that. It's like, I could see him being like a rogue trader type, maybe. Definitely, he definitely like a long distance, like a long distance sharpshooter type thing. Maybe an assassin of some type.
Yeah, I'm always hiding in the weeds, taking out people one at a time.
Well, I like when you take out chairs when you're upset.
Yes.
Playing Borderlands 2, and quite often I'm the sniper on high in Borderlands 2. So.
Yeah. Gearbox was just recently sold too. I don't know if you heard about that.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gearbox was sold. For the article, because I found it. It was one of the a new source I was looking forward to checking out.
Ziff just said Fallout. Fallout's good as well. Haven't played Fallout for a while. The chat. I think I have played a little bit of 3 in Vegas. I think I slowed a little because the original Fallout 1, Fallout 2 with it top-down turn-based. I think I really liked because I'd come from Civilization, preferring it a little bit more to Age of Empires. I still love Age of Empires. You know, you can't make that noise and not have someone know what you mean.
That's true.
So to then Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 with that turn-based point buy sort of thing, I think appealed to this, the repressed logical part of my brain that the chaos hadn't beaten into a corner.
I didn't get a chance to do Fallout 1 and 2, but I've done a little bit of 3 and 4, but as far as like turn-based stuff like the XCOM game or like of course the Big Daddy RTS StarCraft, done that a little bit. But yeah, Gearbox was purchased by the Embracer Group. I think it was a pretty healthy thing.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a big dollar amount.
363 million, or roughly $1 billion kind of hit for it.
Drop
it like it's hot.
Is just brilliant. Like when it's like Instagram sold for $1 billion, and everyone's like, oh wow. And these days, for something like Instagram for $1 billion is like a steal.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing, these companies.
Oh yeah, like remember when Google bought YouTube from its original creators? It was like it was. Now it's like, oh, that's just not that's like low end money. I mean, look at the Disney purchase of Fox. I mean, that was billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah, it was
of Lucas.
That's true. Yeah.
That was a big purchase. Disney dropping them money left and right, and it's just like change for us,
Yeah, what's that mean?
Yeah, just change for us.
It's all ones and zeros on a computer anyway. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully doing something with GaryCon this year through Jaspers, because I reached out to Jaspers when they came back and asked if I wanted to do something with GaryCon. So I'm hoping I can get something going for that.
That's is it Fenway Jones that
Yeah.
does Jaspers? Yeah. I've just recently started following her on Twitter. I'm trying to like I do a lot on Facebook with these lives now. I'm trying to keep up with doing stuff on Twitter and Instagram, because you've got to be across all the socials. You can't just put all your coins in one bag with Facebook. You've got to be across all the socials. I mean, Realm Smith dragged me into Discord, and I did Discord a couple of times. I went, now I can't get this. I didn't do the old man sort of, it's not my thing, you young'uns, I don't want to, what's this Discording that you're doing? It dragged me into it, and now you're into it, you kind of understand how it works a bit more, and it becomes second nature. So I've got to try and do a bit more with that, and I'm hoping that maybe I can, even if it's just some reposting for Jaspers, I'd love to be involved with that too.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I was curious about it, and with the tragedy my social group had this year, it was like, you know what, I'm gonna jump in on this. I want to do something more as well, and those kinds of things. So
yeah, I'm sorry. I was very sorry to hear about that too, man.
Yeah, it sucks, but I mean, and I'm not gonna go through all the survivor's guilt on that. But I'm gonna take the fact that he was a big gamer. He was supportive of me doing this, even though he had his opinions on the methodologies of the apps I use. But it was supportive, and I have some of the greatest stories of some of the wackiest crazy characters he ever came up with. And the reason he was so good at making characters is he was in a session, and this is one of those things is like when people talk about bad DMs. It's not something to sit there and be like, you know what, each DM has their own style. But even I had to sit here and raise my eyebrow. Is the fact this DM had confused CR rating with player level. thinking that, and in doing so, my friend had to make 6 characters in a single session. I mean,
Oh,
literally.
okay.
So it's like, I don't want to be that guy to sit there and criticize another person as their game style, but that's a little excessive. So he would always come up with these really wild characters. And one of our greatest stories is he played a gnome and they killed a bear, and he decided to use the bear as a costume. So we'd always be like, bear former, gnome in disguise. Just all the shenanigans.
Oh dear, dear.
But yeah, it's...
Now I've got the Optimus Prime's voice stuck in my head.
Yeah.
Roll out.
Can't do that joke without having that song in your head, those voices.
Is that where you hear the, if I say about the spinning logo, you'll have that sound bite in your head as well.
Yep, I can picture it, and I'm sure everybody in the chat can picture it too if they remember.
See, that's a cool thing too. Like one of the guys I played in the Chris Lindsay game for, I think it was Chris Lindsay's game for GameholeCon, was Ben, who owns Sirenscape, and that market for ambient and background and music for streaming, and even just using at home is a huge thing now as well. You know, I'm a baker by trade, and I think I said that before. You know, senses trigger memories: smell, sight, sound, touch, taste. But you know, I can say we were talking about Age of Empires before, and the little clerics, you know, woo, straight away, you know, I can start remembering what I did in a game. You know, but as a bakery, bakeries, if you go past a bakery and their windows are not open, they're doing something wrong, because bakeries were typically, back in the day, open air houses or locations, because the thing you want is you want that smell of hot bread, hot pies, hot cakes, whatever, wafting out into the public, because as soon as people smell, it triggers, and they're like, oh, I've got to get back in a moment, you know, that sort of thing. So it's brilliant that all these little sound bites from like Transformers, you know, you know, that sort of thing, you know, all that, you know, nostalgia is the trading card of gaming, because you don't even need to be a great GM. This is the thing, I style myself as the Southern Hemisphere's worst GM. You don't even have to be a good GM. If you can propel nostalgia through gaming with little things here and there, even if you're running your first game and you need to pinch pictures from the internet, from, you know, hey, I've got a stone golem and it looks a bit like Optimus Prime, you know, you that little sort of nostalgia will drive people to enjoy a bit more, sort of thing. And you know, Sirenscape for their sounds are brilliant. I'm just loving how you know, if the Realm Smith guys have a break halfway through and they just throw that background noise on, you know, the creaking boards of the ship for tides, you know, I mean, the haunted house with the, that was a little unsettling, but you knew what you were getting into, sort of thing.
Yeah, Sirenscape is hands down probably one of the best resources for a game table anywhere.
Sakura saying that something about just your party, Scoop. I'm not quite sure what she meant by that. It looks like
the wacky and craziness of some of the characters.
All right.
Yeah, only your games.
I don't know. I mean, she's the one in a community session. I'll tell you. I'll throw her out there, because this is one of the things I love about dungeon mastering and loving about playing is players doing things that you completely don't expect. Sakura here, her character, little goblin character, they're at the sunken wreck, trying to find some stuff in the wreck for the narrative. There's a giant shark swimming about 60 feet away. She sits there and shoots the shark with her bow. She hits it, but it's a giant shark. We're talking 140 hit points. We're talking a single bite is 3d10 plus 4. and she's a little goblin. You can't make these things up. And then another one, I introduced a character that I got through one of those my minis in a box called the Dragon Shell Hermit Crab, or Dragon Skull Hermit Crab. The premise is this is a hermit crab that feasted on like a dragon corpse or whatever and grew so large it could use a sunken ship as its new shell. And I introduced this into one of the community sessions.
That's cool.
And it came up behind her, and she was just, because it was like when they see that, it's like trying to describe, it's like, okay, picture a hermit crab, think about the eyes, and now think that those eyes are as tall as a medium-sized creature, to give you a sense of scale. And the fact that this is the back half of a caravel ship that gets up and starts walking towards you.
Now I've just got, if you've ever seen the kids film Moana, now I've got Shining.
Tamatoa, yeah, I thought that same thing too when it came to him.
And that's one of the guys from Flight of the Conchords. What's his name? Jermaine, and he does a brilliant Bowie. Brilliant Bowie, and he channeled Bowie for that song. If you watch Flight of the Conchords, there's a little skit where he turns up as Bowie for Brett's like daydreaming or nighttime dreams or whatever like that. But he does Bowie very well, and so it was very little surprise that he belted out a Bowie-esque song in the movie.
Most recent Bowie thing for me is you're familiar with Todd Kendrick, right?
Yes.
Over the summer last year, when he was doing an episode of Beyond Heroes with TJ Storm and Megan Kendrick and Hope Lavelle and all them, his wife actually did his makeup, and he did the whole stream as David Bowie from Labyrinth. It was the wildest thing I'd ever seen. And the whole thing is, this whole episode is these famous these adventurers who are currently in Wildmount get sucked into a portal and wind up in a mall in Indiana in the 1980s. So the whole 80s theme.
Satanic Panic.
Pretty much. Supposed to be kind of a riff off Stranger Things, but just seeing him in that Labyrinth outfit that Bowie had for that.
That's cool, yeah.
Speaking about the whole nostalgia thing and how that kind of nostalgia stuff kind of works out.
Speaking of nostalgia, I've just noticed there's a Glenn Lockwood in the comments.
Yes.
And he said about Pool of Radiance Commodore 64, first PC game for me. Bear with me.
Uh-oh.
He's about to go back in time.
We're going there. We're so going there.
What are we going to get? What are we going to see?
We're going to get something cool, I guarantee it.
I got a box of goodies.
Oh boy. There it is. A little closer to you.
Oh, hang on.
Yep, there it is. Now it's in the frame.
There you go.
It's not reflecting off the screen.
Wow. Now that's some cool stuff.
There we go. So this is the Aussie version, because it was done by Entertainment and Computer Products out of Queensland under license. So this is pretty sure this is the Commodore 64 version. Yeah, C64 disc.
That's just awesome.
It is.
The clamshell doesn't really work anymore. I've had to put a rubber band around it. But there's the Adventurer's Journal.
There you go. Now it's in there.
And there's the booklet.
Pool of Radiance.
Yeah. And then you've got the computer instructions. Hang on. Computer instructions with where your joystick has to be for moving. And the original discs were literally just labeled by themselves with just print, like literally almost like a typed out on a word processor, printed on to removable stickers and put onto the diskettes. There you go.
There's our nostalgia piece for the day. I mean, you can't really top that one.
Put that up there, I'm like,
I don't have anything metal.
I have to dig that out. There's AD&D. Which one's this again? Heroes of the Lance. This is the Spectrum game. So this is pre-Xbox, kids.
I think he's talking to you, Mayflower.
Welcome to our time.
I'm not knocking anyone under the age of 30. I'm just saying this is what we had back then, and you know, it was really cool. And to see what we've got nowadays is amazing. There you go. Now the green screen's playing up because the turtles are green in that green, so just bear with me.
Oh yeah, is that the classic Turtles game that was like insane to try and play?
It was crazy to try and play it.
I mean, people talk about rage quitting the original Battletoads, but that game will drive you nuts.
Yeah, that was some rage quit stuff right there.
Right, yeah.
I won't take up this stream with too much nostalgia. I'll quickly go through these because there's one I'm digging towards. Bit of Space Quest. Who remembers? Who remembers Sierra?
Space Quest 3.
But the big thing for me now, coming back to how I got into gaming, that sort of thing, and keeping in mind that you know, Catherine, Northern Territory is here, and it's in the middle of, you know, it's 300k south of Darwin, so about 230 miles. And getting gaming products in was very hard. Lone Wolf was my first into gaming, and then through Lone Wolf with a little bio on the back of the or inside the page for Joe Diva said he played AD&D, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So I went, okay, cool. I'm gonna find out what this Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. You know, as a kid, anything to do with knights and castles, now I was cool because we didn't have that growing up there. So had some friends. Older brother was playing D&D, played a couple of games, thoroughly loved it. I had a Dwarven fighter. And then they moved into Rifts, and we still love that because it was something that wasn't where we were, you know, to do all that. One of the things I found when I was getting older and convinced my mother and father that we needed a home computer was an Amstrad 1512. Mate had it was 2 floppy drives. Now these are not the originals. I do not know where they are. I found these a few years ago now. I'll show you what my first ever. So this is not that game. This is the game in the sense of this was the game, not my copy, but Secrets of the Silver Blades by SSI Strategic Simulation Inc. And I absolutely thrashed this game on our PC. Whenever I wasn't doing homework, I was on the computer playing this. I had 5mm graph paper out and I would map everywhere. I don't know where they are now. I would make journals of what I did, so I know when I came back to you wouldn't have to spend the 5-10 minutes trying to work out what you're doing. I had a diary, one of the very few times I've ever used a diary, and so you could literally read, get back into it, and know what you're doing. But the gold box D&D was brilliant stuff for me. I absolutely loved these as a kid. I managed to find these a little while ago. There's Death Knights of Kryn. We've got Secret of the Silver Blade. We've got Champions of Kryn. We've got Dark Queen of Kryn. Gateway to the Savage Frontier. Eye of the Beholder. Did someone say Nostalgia Trip? You know, Shadow Sorcerer.
Lord, that's an impressive collection.
Eye of the Beholder 2.
So now here's the $60,000 question for you, Heath. Do you still have a computer that could run all of those?
Well, that's the beauty of emulators.
Ah. That works. That works.
That is touche.
That's the line for the night. Beauty of emulators.
So, if people that know me on the net and like you guys and Realm Smith, everyone knows I'm crazy. Now you're kind of seeing this is down the rabbit hole crazy. I'm very thankful for my wife understanding my passions. You know, it's something that my son is both an outdoors and indoors kid, which is good. So outdoors, he loves swimming, loves riding his bike, loves going on the scooter. Indoors, like I've got a copy of Hero Quest from '89 sitting over there. He loves playing Hero Quest. Nostalgia, coming back to that now nostalgia thing is always a lot of fun. Was it Mayflower was saying about Space Quest? Didn't look familiar. So this is Space Quest 3. This is the Pirates of Pestilon. Sierra, which is the company names, and like I'm pretty sure maybe that's after the Sierra Mountain Range, Nevada.
Okay.
Is my U.S. geography?
Sierra's out west.
Yeah.
So Sierra created a lot of games like this. So they had Space Quest, they had Hero Quest, they had King's Quest, which was that medieval one. Police Quest, if you wanted to play like you were a cop. They did a few other ones. There was one that was a bit sort of maybe not so much PG rated that we can talk about here, but it was great for computer games. We had 64-bit graphics and we loved it. But yeah, and the programmers didn't take themselves seriously because they'd even put themselves on the back here. We've seen these two guys. That's sort of caricatures.
The Garbage Pail Kids kind of characters.
Yeah. There you go. So yeah, there's a whole box of crazy I opened up. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Very good. This is wonderful stuff.
We'll blame Glenn with for Pool of Radiance. So Glenn, I don't know if you've seen it, but this is the Aussie version. So this ECP Entertainment and Computer Products Proprietary Limited, Gold Coast, Queensland, produced under license. So this was before the gold boxes came out, because you can see the that
the white border on that. Yeah.
I mean, that's just the old games. I've got a whole bunch of tabletop stuff over there, from White Box, Chainmail, AD&D, Basic, all that sort of fun stuff as well. But
yeah, I've gotten into collecting a lot of the older stuff, so I can appreciate the passion. I can appreciate the rabbit hole that it falls into.
I'm just crazy.
But it's all good. It's all good. But we actually we ran a little over tonight, so I think this is probably a good stopping point. Heath, it has been an absolute joy to have you on the show tonight.
Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful night.
Shout out everybody. Thank you in the chat for hanging out. I've got a surprise for you at the end. I did something new playing with my video editor. I have a collection of highlight clips from last Saturday's Shadow Watch. So you guys can check that out as we go into closing. If you enjoyed this, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit the little bell notification so you know when we have more stuff coming out. This Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern is Shadow Watch, live D&D over at twitch.tv/Scuba Studio. Sunday morning is Sunday with Scoob, where I paint minis and hang out. And of course, next Tuesday, we'll be back here for more. If you're enjoying this content and want to help support the studio, please go over to patreon.com/Scuba Studio. Join as a patron. You get exclusive early access to a lot of the stuff I'm working on, like the video I'm about to put up here for everybody to watch. Again, thank you, Heath, for spending some time hanging out with us.
Thank you.
And look forward to having you come and hang out with us again in the future. Ry, thank you for hanging out again, buddy. Everybody, check this video out, and we will see you on our next stream. Good night, everybody.
Peace.
Of what's happened and decide what to do next. Just as they were getting ready to enter the Enclave, a happenstance of wild magic appeared, producing a unicorn. And while the rest of the party progressed toward the Enclave, Vulcan and his badger decided to hang back a little bit and dispatch the unicorn before.
Again, up nearer to Nat, and then basically what I can see from where Nat is, I realize obviously there's a whole loose horde of stuff happening to the northwest. Shrag's eyes now are like blazing. He's like, "You took my mount. You took my goat." And he's just going to go boom for this fireball up into that top left-hand corner.
3, 4, 5.
I love the wizard rage so much. It was half. It's the whole thing.
Nope. Each creature takes 1d10 necrotic. You regain hit points equal to the sum of the necrotic damage dealt.
Well, Shrag's at full. I don't need to worry about healing him anytime soon.
So just north of you guys, you hear like Shrag just like go, "They took my mount," and then go, "Power."
Yep, pretty much.
It's so appropriate. I love it.
Alrighty, so boy, these dice suck today. Well, for the last few of the pygmies,
Marie got our replacements.
What?
Marie got our replacements. She replaced your dice for you.
we'll see about that. I've got access to more. All right, so these three are going to sling at Shrek. 3 hit points left. I wasn't.
Yeah, the second one was 22.
Yeah.
So just like.
How do you want to do it? I'll give you that one. Tell me how you want to do it.
A hedge trimmer.
Both axes take off its arms, and as the axes come back, they come through its chest and explode out, and I catch them.
Nice.
Nice.
That poor bear gets just all face full of plant matter. Kind of picturing that scene from Swamp Thing where